have to support the entrepreneurship as well as support ICTA programs such as Spiralation, STEP program, 10,000 ideas. There's so much that we can rely on.
Hello everyone, I'm Nethum Herath.
And I'm Sinali Amarasekara, and we are the representatives of the Business Faculty of NSBM Green University.
With the rapid growth in technological environment, most of the sectors in the world are getting digitalized. So, this fintech, the word is yet to take off ground. So, joining with us today is the Hithesh Fernando, who has over 20 years experience in banking and finance, and the CEO and founder of Fintech Digital. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. So I have to mention what we bring in from Fintech Digital. So we have a Fintech arm where we encourage all the fintechs in the country. And also I must mention while we are celebrating the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And with ICT, there's so much programs aligned. And also I'm sure your university is also part of it. And we have to support the entrepreneurship as well as support ICTA programs such as Spiralation, STEP program, 10,000 ideas. There's so much that we can rely and also get fintechs as well as any entrepreneurs to market to aspire.
All right. So, Mr. Hitesh, let's talk how it all started. What instilled the idea of becoming an entrepreneur and paved the way for you to be the person you are today?
Yeah, thank you. At the initial stage, we discussed, right? So we go to school, have so many aspirations, and been an athlete myself. So I've been representing national games as well, and that's where we thought, okay, whether to go becoming a career in terms of sports or joining any field at that point in time. So now only you get a lot of career guidance, a lot of programs to follow. So back in the day, so you have to just see and you try and see where you succeed. So that's where I got into banking sector, and then from there onwards learned many things about banking and moved to various departments, especially one bank to an international bank, from that international bank to experience global opportunities like international banking in another country and experience various set of problems and even Sri Lanka facing right now. And then thought, either you end up in a department as a head or a leader, or can you, with that experience, you can do something back to the country. So as a result, myself found an idea which is not or yet to take off the ground in this nature, and lots of programs where we are here even right now at ICTA with their support, with their programs, with what we have gathered, and of course with the research, thought best time to come out with an idea and become an entrepreneur.
So, sir, as I mentioned, due to the digitalization factor, the topic of fintech is getting highlighted nowadays. So, Mr. Hitesh, what is actually fintech and how does it impact to the society?
Yeah, so everybody's, even it's a buzzword in that matter, but it happened way back. Now we are hearing so much, and if you take a look at a banking sector, if they move into some sort of a technology innovation, that itself, I would say, they are getting into fintech, experiencing fintech. And but what happened was some banks and even globally was actually lagging behind in terms of introducing software, introducing technology, and then independent third parties started catering to general public very convenient manner using technology, software, even advancement in terms of easy way of getting to the clients, and that's where the fintech was born. And yeah, so it can define in many ways. It evolved more, and the future is going to be huge, including Web3 and metaverse technologies coming in. So we are closely looking at it from our point of view, and what we are also doing as Fintech Digital as a company, trying to look at what fintechs coming up in Sri Lanka, and also trying to work in collaboration along with banks as well.
Also, sir, when we talking about this fintech topic, currently most of the people are getting really interested about a specific technology, which is called blockchain technology. So, what is actually this blockchain technology, and how does this impacts to the banking and finance industry's future?
Yeah. So initially, even similar to fintech, blockchain is also a word that we heard a lot. But if you take a look at what we have been doing back in the day, getting Excel for that matter, using in terms of sheets and spreadsheets, even manually. Sometimes used to have manual ledgers, right? Even banking. Before I joined, the banking was very different to without having systems. So you write down everything and keep it in a record that only one person can see on the in a very secured manner. And maybe you all have heard there was passbook kind of concept, right? So all basic manual work, very simple man, I'm explaining because it has to be meaningful to everyone. So that came into a picture, and technology, using technology, they created something called blocks, right? So each segment will have separate blocks which cannot be changed or cheat, I would say. So a set of people will own it, and they will only be able to together change it, right? And if you take a look at using blockchain, what can be introduced to bank is immense. If you take a look at certain, one example would be KYC. Okay? KYC means know your customer documentation which you provide to a bank, and then that bank has the set of KYC. And if you take a look at the entire banking sector, right, the moment all banks come in together and create a block where all banks together with regulators help, which can be maintained, and then it will help any individual or a public's life so much easy. Whenever you are switching the account, you don't have to give the documents back again, because you own it. You can give the consent if any bank trying to pull out your data. The simple explanation what blockchain can be used for banking sector, and that is a very basic concept, and it's going into various areas like cryptocurrencies to health sector to and so many areas getting benefited using blockchain technology.
So, sir, fintech is a relatively new concept to the Sri Lankan market, right? So, what were some of the challenges you had to face when introducing fintech?
Fintechs actually, as a bank, as I mentioned, if a bank says, look, today onwards, you're not going to open any of the branches, right? And we are going to be digital, and we are catering only way digital, managing the branches that you have. So they introduce their entire core system in a way of an application method. So that itself, they can say, look, we are moving to more fintech oriented operations. And apart from a banking system like our nature or any other fintechs that we see in the market, will coming in as a new entry and a third party, and also coming into a market where very lot of challenges that we face. And if you all youngsters would have experience the scams which happened recently and went viral, very sad that even professionals, bankers, I would say, had gone and invested with very illegal means without knowing because of the return. And sad now, everybody is getting the consequences, losing their money. So this is happening, right? So coming back to fintech, so fintechs can easily, a very secured way deliver a certain product. And the challenges, of course, in my view, when we discussed recently at Sri Lanka Internet Day, the governor was also mentioned, we see this concept called sandbox environment in the central bank they have created. So any fintech, if they have a fintech related product, they have to get along with the bank and produce their use case, and then they have to test in a way, or a UAT has to happen in a secured environment and a sandbox. Then they can go to market. So as a result, any other initiatives coming in will be impacted, because if they are not relevant for the sandbox, they won't be able to take off the ground. There is no regulation that apart from that clearance, you go into a market to do payments and any other. So I would say it's good, because then these are actually say verified set of initiatives coming into the market. The challenges, when you ask, that's the only challenge I see. But other than that, there's so much of programs that they can monetize, and even our platform. So that matter, what we are trying to do is, if there is a fintech that has taken through that path through sandbox are in the market, we can list them and monetize through our platform, any bank.lk and any finance.
Also, sir, we all know during the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the developing countries are facing these type of financial crisis. So, as an investor and a banker, how can developing countries be made more attractive for foreign investments?
So mainly, when you say developed, so they have passed out in terms of whatever the segments that the world is looking at, and mainly the right policy frameworks and the right paths, and also the integrity to the country as a developed country will bring a lot of attention to them, and also plugging in certain new dimensions like climate impact, right? So most of the banks, as well as financial technologies and even investors nowadays, are more prone towards initiatives which plugging in with the climate impact, which is called ESG, environmental social governance. And certain multinational banks are pumping in huge money, like trillions of dollars. If there's a way that we can change the world into more green as well as ESG related initiatives, so that world become a better place. That's the reason I asked why you say NSBM is a green university. Yeah. So adding into it, we won the climate launchpad, which is European Union largest green idea competition last year, suggesting or plugging in our marketplace for banks initiative and ensuring all banks to be green by digitalizing the entire product portfolio, so there is no paper involvement, and also reducing emission for basic information. You don't have to go to back and forth to the bank. And additionally, the moment if there are investments, so bank investments goes into green related initiatives, that's another entry criteria that we are going to monitor in future. So corporate banking also be more encouraged to invest into green ideas. And I mean, it's a broader answer, but everything connects to how to get investments to countries and to develop countries as well.
So, sir, also when talking about investments, cryptocurrency seems to be like the future. But many issues like scalability, theft and fraud, and threat of regulations, such like issues like that, are actually making people to believe otherwise. So, if a person, like for an example, a person who wants to invest in cryptocurrency but is taken back because of the issues I stated earlier, how would you convince a person like that to actually to invest and like maybe build his trust for crypto?
I would say before that, we would get especially the youngsters to experience the real financial literacy first and get into a banking system first. So this is actually a challenge we discuss with regulators and even forums where even very recently we spoke about it. In future, whether banks will have customers or whether the Gen Z and the next generations will rely on these channels. But being in a country, cryptocurrency is not regularized, and having a balance of payment or the foreign currency issue, and even illegal ways. If any individual trying to invest in cryptocurrencies, first of all, I would say no to it, because you might lose everything. And but in a way of under regulatory attention, if anybody is actually driving cryptocurrencies, I have seen lots of programs, YouTube channels, and also certain classes about how to invest in. But my advice to them, first get to a discussion with the regulator what avenues they are taking in terms of introducing central bank based foreign current digital currencies. That has to come also in parallel. And country also have to be in a very stable manner, stable place in terms of foreign currency issues, so that we can deal in foreign currencies. And this is the scam even recently, right? So if you listen to certain clips and the voice cuts, so they say that you invest, we are going to invest in global stocks, right? But you, as an individual, you get caught because you get high returns, thinking, okay, massive, we can earn a lot. uh, but then again, ultimately, that basic financial knowledge matters, because how to then trade and deal with it, right? So it's a huge thing. But my advice is first get into a banking system, learn basic banking, and the country is ready, invest into crypto, and you're safe then.
Do you think
Yeah.
the banking sector will grow, or like, because there was a concern about how employability in banking side would actually reduce because of automation and digitalization. So
There is actually any industry, it can happen with the innovation and the digitizing takes place. The opportunity for banking in Sri Lanka, especially, uh, we are talking about 4,000 odd branches, and also having multiple areas now. Even it's mostly urban driven. We see in the financial sector, the opportunity, as I mentioned, there is a 80% rural areas out there still uh, can be improved, especially the access to credit kind of thing. And why sometimes the fintechs also relevant, they might attract them faster than banks with the current context, because they start tracking the user behaviors and using algorithms to identify whether creditworthy or not. Whereas banks still go on the path of getting the documentation, go through the crib history, and mind you, crib is also now online. So that's something many people doesn't know. So if you're working and you start applying for accounts as well as credit related products, your crib history you can access online, create a request. We have listed that as well under regulatory information category. Straight away go into crib online application, you can fill it up and get the crib report, right? So likewise, if we can improve, there is a huge potential for banks to look at out, think out of the box, get staff to really actively work on business generation, go to rural areas and go to their branch areas, and to really have that conversation with the public out there. So the sentiments about banking, as you correctly said, is actually a question. That's why we are trying to get that trust back to banking system, getting banks into one platform. So all banks get benefited, and banks can really drive together with us as well as individually to create that prestigious industry, a more global oriented example with fintech innovation.
Also, sir, I would like to highlight an important topic for every person in the world, that is financial literacy. in some articles they have mentioned that financial literacy is the financial intelligence. So in some articles they have mentioned that the financial literacy is the of technical skills, which is counting, investing, understand markets and the law. So Mr. Hite, what is actually financial literacy?
In terms of the paper and the definition, that's exactly correct, because then you cover the entire set of dimensions. But the issue that we see is, even though you go through that set of theoretical way of getting to know and instead be literate on financials, but actually the you're making into practice is something different, and we question it. Having a good financial literacy is good enough. Whether do you have that right banking literacy to apply them, or are they using the right product for that matter? If you take a look at global situation in terms of financial literacy, is a huge question. That into two verticals. One is bank population and unbanked population. It's about 1.7 billion unbanked population as we speak. So for them, they need the literacy plus access to banks, right? Or fintechs, working with banks, without banks. And in Sri Lanka, the last research, which was released very recently by central bank, based on 2021 stats, we have improved drastically to measure the financial literacy up to 52% from 34%, if I'm not mistaken. But what we experience is not the same as the number says. We still think the banking literacy is an issue. People trying to get away from banks, not having a good experience with banks. We are trying to improve that, and also especially the new generation. Your generation should even coming out from school, getting them to open their first account, experience that, and look at other investments, what facilities in future to come. So because life is like a journey, right? So you starting from children's savings, it goes up to senior citizen account. In future to come, the more you have a banking literacy, that's what we're trying from our platforms, getting that entire marketplace banking, which is verified by banks, and then any individual know, come to any bank or any finance, you know these are registered financial institutions or fintechs that works with the approval of central bank. Then they will experience very safely manner, and we are not capturing any of the personal data as we speak. It directly goes to the banking system, and you will have some sort of a banking literacy to deal with the accounting, financial management, investment, and of course manage day-to-day life better.
So, sir, lastly, what would be some advices you would like to share with the youngsters or undergraduates who want to enter into the finance industry to prepare them for the challenges ahead?
Finance industry or any industry, I would say, right? So with what we had when we left, and the technology or whatever it is we call them at that point in time, it was very early stages. We didn't have YouTubes or any other advanced technologies, right? Uh, I will take a very example, if you have time, taking my life. This is a very personal experience that I thought I must share with everyone. As I told, I was an athlete, right? So under 11, I was winning 100 meters, 200, and the event was long jump, right? So, and then later on, there was another colleague came into school from another school, and then started dominating the event. So then I thought, okay, so how can I become the champion, right? So that encouraged. Didn't have any motivational speakers, didn't have any YouTube channels to listen, and our teachers were good, but they didn't come out and say, look, now you can't become the champion. You think something else. So without that itself, naturally thought, okay, I must do something else to be good as the person, so I can equally become the champion, kind of. So then I shifted to high jump. So this is a personal example. I was thinking why the generation are restricted their mindset with the social medias as well as certain, even having those programs in hand, the thinking pattern has been limited. Maybe because of social media as well as you think you have everything your hand that you can quickly learn, but experiencing that in real time is something that I would encourage everyone. Doesn't matter you study any stream, if you don't experience real life that you can do what I can do with it, what new things I can do, whether I can enhance my life and the passion. At the end, you have to look at your well-being also. So if that not been achieved, I would say change it. Find something attracts more. So time is there for you to change and learn. If you get to a industry which is passionately driven, then you won't get stressed and you achieve the milestones that created as a dream on your head, right? So summarizing, so you have to find a dream and go behind the dream, think about it every day, and every time that I'm going to achieve it someday, and definitely that way you can achieve.
So with that, we have come to the end of the interview. And personally, as an individual aspiring to be in the finance sector, I've learned a lot. So thank you so much for that, sir, and thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to have an interview with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and very encouraged of your passionate, of managing it and getting a time slot. Not that I'm extremely busy, but I would like to encourage everyone to listen to this and enhance their life at least a little bit of where and what they are. Thank you.